Greetings, taxable assets. Welcome to the Departmento Tacticae audit log number 886B. I am Senior Auditor Valarius Krauss. If you're receiving this broadcast, it means your clearance code has been flagged. It means you've been looking at unapproved tactical analyses. Do not adjust your voxcasters. Do not attempt to leave your designated hab block. We are here to conduct a forensic accounting.
Auditor, the cogitators are primed and running at 94% efficiency. The data stack from the civilian entity has been ingested.
Which entity is it today, Scribe? Give me the name.
The entity is known as Warp Friends.
Warp Friends. Let's just pause there. Spell that for me.
W-A-R-P then. F-R-E-I-N-D-S.
Me before I. Naturally. Because nothing says reliable tactical intelligence like a failure to master lead Gothic spelling in the first 3 syllables of your report title.
The spelling does indicate a literacy grade of subprime hive bottom, Auditor.
You think? What was your first clue? This is the kind of intelligence that gets platoons liquidated. And look at the date on this report. Read it to me.
The report is for the week of February 9th, 2026.
February 9th, not 9th. 9 it. This is what we're dealing with. An organization that can't spell its own name and doesn't know how ordinal numbers work, and they have the audacity to publish a meta-analysis. Let me be clear, citizen. If you follow this kind of advice without my interpretation, you will be recycled.
The raw data, however, it does appear to match the feed from the tournament circuit. The numbers themselves are accurate.
Oh, the numbers are accurate. That's the beautiful horror of it all. The numbers are real, but the conclusions they draw from them are pure poison. I'm staring at a ledger that is bleeding red ink, Scribe, and I have spotted a red line item.
The file appears to be a standard tournament report, sir. It covers win rates, representation.
Standard. Scribe, look at me. Does anything about this situation feel standard to you? There is nothing standard about this filth. I have spotted an item near the very end of this report that represents a total tactical insolvency, a mathematical impossibility that suggests the entire economy of this war has been rigged.
The inversion of logic. Are you referring to the Necron data point? The correlation between...
Silence machine. We do not speak its name. Not yet. The civilians listening, they lack the clearance. They can't handle it. We have to walk them through the petty cache errors first. They need to see the small failures before we can show them the utter bankruptcy of their entire strategic philosophy. But know this, citizen, what Warp Friends is feeding you is movement math designed to sell you a coffin.
Understood. Protocols.locked. Shall we proceed with the initial intake?
We shall. But first, a mandatory reminder. You, the listener, are currently in a spiritual deficit. Your tide is overdue. Settle the ledger. Likes and subscribes are the currency of compliance. And recruiting a fellow citizen via the share button, that is the only way you meet your quota for this cycle. Failure to comply is not recommended. The last citizen who failed to share was reassigned to latrine duty on a death world. Pay your tithes. Now, Scribe, open the file. Give me the census.
Opening file. 40k win rates week of February 9th, 2026. Segment A. The census. According to the transcript, the previous week saw a total of 886 players active in the tournament circuit.
886. Let's put that number in perspective. Scribe, cross-reference that with the active combat personnel of a single Astra Militarum regiment.
It is. Infinitesimal. Auditor. A fraction of 1%.
Exactly. 886 so-called generals, the elite. The people who think they know how war is fought. I see 886 liabilities waiting to be processed. How many engagements did these liabilities participate in?
These players took part in 4,637 individual games.
4,600, a respectable number of skirmishes. And what does that bring the season total to?
The report indicates this brings the DASLY total to 26,299 games for the season.
Stop right there. Rewind that. The what?
The DASLY total, sir. That's what the text says. D-A-Z-L-Y.
A long, drawn-out sigh. Gloss-brained incompetence. It's data slate, you malfunctioning server skull. They're trying to type data slate total, and they wrote DASLY. I can't. I just can't.
Perhaps they were dazzled by the sheer volume of data.
Do not attempt humor, Scribe. It strains your logic engine, and it gives me a migraine. This is why we don't let civilians handle Munitorum stockpiles. They confuse data slate with DASLY, and suddenly a shipment of bolters ends up on a pleasure world while the front lines are throwing rocks at orcs. But 26,000 games. Let's focus. That's a significant sample size. Statistically, that should eliminate the margin for error, shouldn't it?
Indeed. With 26,000 data points, the law of large numbers should apply. Variance should smooth out. We should see a bell curve.
We should see a bell curve. We should see balance. Remind the listener of the Games Workshop corporate mandate on this. What is the so-called green zone?
The mandate states that an acceptable win rate for any given faction lies between 45 and 55%.
Yeah.
This is the green zone.
The zone of mediocrity, that's where they want you, citizen. Perfectly balanced, perfectly stagnant, a predictable, taxable consumer. If you're in the green, you're invisible to the audit, you're a good little cog in the machine. But if you drift into the orange, or the Emperor forbid the red, that's when I have to open a case file. And looking at this week's returns, Scribe, the bell curve has been smashed with a thunder hammer. I see a lot of red.
The variance is significant, Auditor. The deviation from the mean suggests a catastrophic failure of the rule set containment protocols.
It suggests a hostile takeover. Let's address the primary asset bubble. The Necrons. Put it on the main screen. Let's look at this monopoly.
The Necron faction. For the week of February 9th, they hold a win rate of 61.3%.
61.3%. Let that number sink into your civilian brain. In a game involving dice, terrain, and 2 human intellects, one faction is winning more than 6 out of every 10 engagements. That's not luck. That's not good generalship. That is structural inequality. It is a casino where the house doesn't just win, the house mugs you in the parking lot and takes your shoes.
Their representation in the field, the percentage of players piloting this faction, is 9%.
9%, nearly 1 in every 10 players. Now, Scribe, explain the skill dilution principle to the class. Normally, when representation goes up, what is supposed to happen to the win rate?
It declines, Auditor. When a faction becomes popular, inexperienced players, often referred to as bandwagoners or meta-chasers, join the ranks. Since they lack tactical acumen and familiarity with the data sheets, they lose more often, dragging the faction's overall average down toward the median.
Precisely. It's the natural law of logistics. If every conscript in the Hive City picks up a lasgun, the average accuracy rating plummets because half of them don't know which end the light comes out of. But here we have mass adoption, 9% of the player base, and the win rate is climbing. 61.3% is an indictment. It means the army pilots itself. It means you could strap a servo skull to the table, have it roll dice at random, and it would still beat a seasoned Space Marine commander.
The report specifically mentions the Cetan Shards as the primary variable. Our internal notes refer to them as unregistered heavy ordnance.
Unregistered heavy ordnance is a polite way of saying invincible star gods that ignore the fundamental rules of engagement. Scribe, break this down for the listener. Why is a Cetan shard a nightmare for the auditors? Explain the mathematics of the halving damage clause.
The Cetan Shards possess a necrodermis ability. Any damage allocated to the model from an attack is halved.
Explain that in less Ganon terms. I want the listener to feel the pain, the sheer soul-crushing futility.
Well, if a standard less cannon hits a Cetan, assuming it bypasses the 4+ invulnerable save and rolls a 6 for damage, the total is 6.
A devastating hit. That should cripple a tank. That should blow the leg off an Imperial Knight.
However, the Cetan halves it. The 6 becomes a 3.
And what if I roll a 3 on the damage die?
It becomes a 1.5, which rounds up to 2 in this iteration of the rules.
So I'm firing the galaxy's most powerful man-portable anti-tank weaponry, and I'm effectively throwing pebbles at a god.
And that does not factor in the potential for a feel-no-pain save, likely a 5+, which would reduce the probability of that damage sticking even further.
This is the stat check, citizens. It's an amusement park ride with a sign that says, you must be able to inflict 30 wounds per turn to a model that halves damage, has a 4+ invulnerable save, and regenerates. If your army cannot mathematically generate that number, you do not get to play the game. Bid say, you lose in the list building phase. You lose before you even unpack your models from their foam tray.
And the Necrons. They can field multiple of these assets.
That's the core of the problem. The Hypercrypt Legion detachment lets them field 3. The Void Dragon, the Nightringer, the Transcendent, 3 of them. It's not a boss fight, Scribe. It's a raid encounter where the bosses are just roaming the halls, picking off stragglers.
Error. Sienna.
Yeah.
Error. The logic does not compute. 3 such assets. It violates the fundamental principles of balanced conflict simulation.
Pull yourself together, machine. On top of being unkillable, what else does that Hypercrypt attachment let them do?
It allows them to leave the battlefield at the end of the opponent's turn and then arrive anywhere on the board during their own next turn.
Imagine trying to fight a tank that, right before you shoot it, vanishes and reappears behind your supply lines. It is bureaucratic negligence on a galactic scale.
The specific detachment breakdown is illuminating. The Pantheon of Woe detachment has a win rate of 65.3%.
65%. Let's just let that hang in the air for a moment.
The Cursed Legion is at 60.9%. And the Star Shadow detachment is at 60.4%.
Look at that. 3 separate detachments, all over 60%. Usually you have one broken build, one oops in the codex. This is systemic. This is a failure to regulate dangerous goods. If you are playing Pantheon of Woe and you lose, you shouldn't be eliminated from the tournament. You should be fined for misuse of company property. You actively have to try to lose with numbers like that.
It is worth noting, Auditor, that the civilian reporter Warp Friends, he seems confused. He states, and I quote, "There appears to be some sort of disturbance in the meta lately, and I can't quite figure out what it is."
A harsh, dry laugh. He can't figure it out. The man is standing in a burning building wondering why it's getting warm. The disturbance is that the Necrons have effectively filed for a monopoly on victory. He's looking at the smoke and wondering where the fire is. It's under your feet, you gloss-brained fool. But wait, there's a number higher than 61% on this chart, isn't there? I see a spike. A statistical outlier.
There is. The highest recorded win rate for the week belongs to the Deathwatch faction.
The Deathwatch. The militant arm of the Ordo Xenos. The elite of the elite. And their number?
Their win rate is listed at 63%.
63%. Higher than the Necrons. So, Scribe, this changes everything. Clearly, the Deathwatch are the new terror of the tables. We must issue an emergency balance update immediately, burn the Corvus Black Stars, melt down the frag cannons. They are too powerful.
Correction. Data context required. Auditor, please reference column G of the internal letter.
Column G, let me see. Player count.
The player count for Deathwatch is listed as small sample size. Specifically, fewer than 10 players. Globally.
Fewer than 10. So we're talking about a literal kill team,
Right.
Not an army. And who, pray tell, is leading this one-squad crusade? Our internal Gemini investigation identified a name.
The name is Stephen Box, of the organization Vanguard Tactics. He went 6-0-0 at the Beachhead Brawl tournament.
Stephen Box, of course. This is what we in the auditing business call insider trading citizens. The Deathwatch aren't good. Stephen Box is good. He is a market maker. He is a professional coach who piloted a D-tier faction to a championship result specifically to mess with my spreadsheets.
It distorts the data, Auditor. It creates a false signal. A novice looking at this chart might assume Deathwatch is a top-tier army.
And that novice would go out, spend 1,000 credits on a Deathwatch army, and get absolutely humiliatingly crushed. It's vanity. He's out there showing off his tactical acumen, while the rest of the Deathwatch players, all 3 of them, are getting tabled by turn 2. This 63% is a statistical ghost. It's a rounding error wearing power armor. Do not invest in Deathwatch stock, citizens. It is a pump-and-dump scheme engineered by the coaching cartels.
Noted.
Yep.
We shall mark that data point as anomalous pilot skill deviation. Shall we move to the next anomaly?
Yes. Let's look at the next bubble. The Talons of the Emperor, the Adeptus Custodes.
Ah, yes. The internal report highlights their specific detachment win rate. For the Talons of the Emperor detachment, it is recorded at 69%.
69%.
The civilian report calls this nice.
I call it grossly gross. 69% for the Talons. That is absurd. The Custodes have been in the dumpster for months. They were writing off losses left and right. Their stocks were trading at pennies. Suddenly, they are performing at nearly 70% efficiency. What changed? Did the Emperor finally get off the throne and start rolling dice for them?
The report mentions a resurgence. They secured 3 tournament wins this week. The question posed, Auditor, is whether they have found a way to audit the Stitan shards.
That's the only logical explanation, isn't it? The Custodes are the natural predator of the Necron. Think about it, Scribe. What's the one thing a Citan truly fears?
Mortal wounds. Damage that bypasses the halving mechanic and the invulnerable save.
And the Custodes, specifically in that Talons detachment, have ready access to devastating wounds, don't they?
They do. And they possess a high volume of attacks and the inherent durability to survive at least 1 round of combat with a Citan.
Exactly. It's not that Custodes are suddenly brilliant. It's that they're the only ones holding a weapon that actually works against the Necron monopoly. They are the antitrust lawsuit of the meta.
So it's not a general increase in power, but a specific countermeasure. A statistical bubble created by a unique market condition.
A reaction bubble. Precisely. Nature abhors a vacuum, and the meta abhors a 61% Necron win rate. Players are desperate. They are reaching for the golden armor because everything else is bouncing off the Necron hull. It's an evolutionary response. The prey is evolving thicker skin, so the predators are evolving bigger teeth. But what about the animals that couldn't evolve? What about the failures? Let's talk about the liquidation list.
The bottom tier, Auditor, accessing the bad debt ledger now.
Read me the names of the insolvent. Who is filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy this week?
Agents of the Imperium. Win rate, 29.4%.
Liquidation. Sell the assets for scrap. Next.
Aeldari. Win rate, 37.8%.
Bankruptcy. Tragic. They used to run this town.
Next. Grey Knights. Win rate, 39.3%.
Foreclosure. They can't even pay the psychic mortgage. Next.
Leagues of Votan, 41.2%. Chaos Space Marines, 41.8%.
Pathetic. Look at that list. Aeldari used to rule the world. They were the blue chip stock of this entire enterprise now. 37%. They're trading junk bonds, begging for a bailout. But the real story here, the one that tells the whole tale. Look at the Imperial Knights. Read me the representation numbers, Scrap.
Imperial Knights, representation, 1.7%. My vocalizer is fluctuating. The machine spirit is displeased.
1.7%. I haven't seen a number that low for the big walker since, ever. It's an extinction level event.
It is a drastic drop, Auditor. The Knights are typically a staple of the tournament scene. They function as gatekeepers.
The rat phenomenon. That's what this is.
The rat phenomenon. I am not familiar with this tactical designation.
When the ship is sinking, the rats are the first to leave. But in this metaphor, the rats are the competitive players. The Imperial Knights were the gatekeepers of the meta. They existed to check one thing. Does your army have enough anti-tank weaponry? If you didn't, the Knights crushed you. Simple as that. But now, the Knights can't kill the C-10. The C-10 ignore their armor. The C-10 halve their damage. A Knight Castellan fires its volcano lance. A weapon that can melt a bunker, hits a C-10, and does what? 3 damage?
Approximately. And then the C-10 strikes back, bypasses the Knight's ion shield with mortal wounds, and cripples it in one activation.
Exactly. So the Knight players, the ones who actually care about winning, the ones who aren't just there to show off their pretty paint jobs, have sold their walkers. They have defected.
They are chasing the yield, moving their assets to a more profitable faction.
They've jumped ship, and they're all swimming towards the SS Necron. 1.7% representation means the ecosystem has collapsed. The primary predators are gone, so the Necrons are multiplying without check. It's an ecological disaster, Scribe, and it's entirely man-made.
Auditor, if I may. The Office fan appears to be oscillating at a frequency that suggests bearing failure. Also, the smell of my own lubricant is becoming distinct. It is an aroma of ozone and burning copper.
By the throne, Scribe, do you buy your oil from a hive sump? It smells like burning ozone and desperation in here. Or maybe that's just the smell of the managed meta.
The managed meta conspiracy. That is file Gemini 7, highly restricted.
Let's take a sidebar, citizens. The Scribe needs a moment to reboot his olfactory sensors anyway. I want to talk to you about why this is happening. You think the 61% Necron win rate is an accident? You think it's just bad rules writing from Games Workshop? You are adorably naive.
The Gemini investigation file references core-selling organizations, Vanguard Tactics, Art of War.
We're watching them. We're watching all of you gurus who sell knowledge for credits. It all comes back to a simple story. Scribe, bring up the legacy tank anecdote, the story of Steve and Nick.
Accessing. Parable 412 Delta.
Listen closely, citizens. This is the difference between a game and a transaction. In the old days, let's call it the Steve era, Steve wants to win. So Steve goes out and buys a legacy tank model. Let's say it's a Mastodon. It costs him 1,200 credits. It's a massive resin brick. But it has the stats to win. Steve buys the tank, he builds it, he paints it, he puts it on the table, and he wins. That is a hardware transaction.
He purchased the asset. He invested in the physical reality of the war. His victory is tied to the means of production.
Correct. But then there is Nick. Nick is from the new era. Nick doesn't buy the tank. Nick pays the tournament judge 50 credits to look the other way while he fudges his dice rolls.
That is bribery. A clear violation of the Lex Imperialis.
Is it? Or is it paying for a favorable strategic environment? Now, apply this to the year 2026. Players aren't bribing judges anymore. They're buying PDF guides. They're buying masterclass bundles.
The report indicates that in January 2026, both Vanguard Tactics and Art of War released masterclass bundles, specifically targeting the new Necron detachments.
The timeline matches perfectly. Don't you see it? January. The courses drop. The How to Win with Hypercrypt videos go live for a small fee. February, Necron win rates spiked to 61%. These players didn't suddenly get better at the game. They didn't meditate on the Codex Astartes and achieve tactical nirvana. They paid 500 credits to a coach who gave them a script.
A cheat sheet, sir.
A script. Turn 1, move C-10 here. Turn 2, use this specific stratagem. Turn 3, collect trophy. They are not playing Warhammer, they are actors in a play written by Stephen Box and Richard Siegler. The meta isn't solved, Scribe, it is scripted. It's a pay-to-win economy disguised as a strategy game.
This would explain the Necron anomaly. If the optimal method of play is being sold as a product, then the adoption rate becomes instantaneous. There is no learning curve.
There's no learning curve because they paid to skip it. They bought the Easy Mode DLC. And look at the top Necron pilots like Josh Roberts. They collaborate with these platforms. They create the disease, the unkillable Necron list, and then they sell you the disease so you can infect others. It's brilliant. It's evil.
It creates a feedback loop. More players buy the course to compete, the win rate rises, which convinces even more players that they need to buy the course.
It's a Ponzi scheme of tactical knowledge, and I am sick of it. So here is the challenge. I am issuing a bureaucratic dare to everyone listening.
A dare, Auditor? Is that within regulations?
I am the regulations. If any of you meta chasers listening think you can justify spending 500 credits on a PDF to beat a 12-year-old at a Rogue Trader tournament, I want you to file a notice of disagreement in the comments right now. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you learned it all on your own. Tell me you discovered the hypercrypt combo while meditating in a monastery and not because you watched a premium YouTube video.
The Auditor's blood pressure monitors are spiking into the red zone.
And if 3 of you, just 3, have the nerve to admit you bought a Necron Mastery course, I will personally audit your finances, I will find that transaction, and I will mock you publicly for your weakness. Consider it a threat.
Threat logged. Timestamp 26.14. Returning to the primary audit. Auditor. We still have the red line item to discuss. The anomaly you mentioned in the cold open.
Voice drops, becoming darker, the theatrical anger draining away. Yes. The red line item. The reason we're all here. The reason the scribe's gyros are shaking.
My gyroscopes are merely calibrating. Auditor, I'm not capable of fear, only risk assessment. And the risk here is high.
We talked about the inversion of logic at the beginning, the fact that Necron representation went up to 9% and their win rate increased to 61.3%.
The zombie loop, a system that feeds on its own success, defying equilibrium.
Normally, when the masses join an army, they're bad at it. They lose, they tank the win rate. That didn't happen here. We've established part of the reason is the cheat sheet courses. But there's a specific tactic, a specific piece of advice that these gurus are selling to everyone else. It's called the 25% reserve tactical sabotage.
I am reading the analysis here. It's filed under Mission First Play.
Mission First Play. Sounds noble, doesn't it? Play the mission, not the opponent. These coaches tell you, the player, to hide 25% of your army in strategic reserves. Keep them safe. Bring them down later in the game to score secondary objective points. Don't engage the enemy if you don't have to.
That. On the surface, that sounds like sound tactical advice, Auditor. Preserving assets, denying the enemy targets, controlling the board in the late game.
It is sound advice in a normal war, in a balanced ecosystem. But against a solved Necron list running triple CTAN, it is suicide. It is tactical malpractice of the highest order.
Explain. My logic processors cannot reconcile this.
The CTAN shards are slow. They are durable. They want to walk up the board and sit on the primary objectives. They dare you to come and shift them. If you take a quarter of your army, your best guns, your heaviest hitters, your knights, and you hide them in the sky for 2 or 3 turns, you are effectively handing the Necron player a 25% advantage from the start.
You are failing to bring sufficient mass to the point of contact in the critical early turns.
You're failing to focus fire. To kill a CTAN, you need to dump everything you have into it. Every bolt gun, every last cannon, every rock you can find. You need to drown it in dice to get past the obscene halving damage math. If a quarter of your army is sipping recaf in the teleportarium because some guru told you to play for the late game, the CTAN will just walk onto the center objective and never, ever leave. The game is over by turn 3.
So the advice being sold to the general player base is actually helping the faction that is already dominant.
A quiet, sharp slam on the desk. The coaches are selling the poison and the cure simultaneously. They tell the Necron players, take 3 CTAN, they're unkillable. Then they turn around and tell everyone else, hide your army, play for points, don't fight them directly. No. It's a skill trap. They are engineering a meta where the Necrons cannot lose because the opponents have been taught to be too afraid to fight. They've taught the prey to hide, which makes it easier for the predator to devour the objective markers at its leisure.
That is diabolical. It maximizes the efficiency of the CTAN by minimizing the incoming fire. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's the perfect crime. And the result. The death of the dice roll. In the year 2026, the dice don't matter anymore, Scribe. The math is so skewed by these coaching scripts that the game is decided before the first model is placed. It's just a transaction. I paid 500 credits for the Necron script. I paid 50 for the Hide and Reserve script. The Necron script wins. Transaction complete.
That is a bleak assessment, Auditor.
It's the truth. The room is quiet now, isn't it? The anger is fading. Now there's just the smell of cheap recaf and the hum of the ventilation units, and the knowledge that somewhere, right now, a player is packing up his army, having lost 90-10, thinking he just had bad luck with his dice.
The fun metric, as tracked by our internal polling, appears to be trending towards 0.
You aren't playing a game, citizen. You think you're a general. You think you're a hero of the Imperium. No. You're just balancing someone else's checkbook. You are a line item in Stephen Box's quarterly earnings report. You are the liquidity in their market.
Shall we close the file, Auditor?
Close it, seal it, burn the hard drive. But before you go, listener, remember the tithe.
The spiritual tithe is still in deficit.
For the love of the Empire, tap that like button. It's the only thing that keeps the servitors fed. And if you're thinking about buying a Necron army tomorrow, don't. Buy a savings mod. Buy a manufactorum. Buy something real.
Transmission ending in 3.
Yeah.
Dismissed. Pay your tithes.